You're probably similar to me that you've been dreaming of financial independence, not being tied to a job, having the ability to travel and take time off when you want, spending more time with friends and family, and not needing to worry about bills, but still seeing your portfolio grow over time. This sounds like an absolute dream. Well, wake up! It isn't a dream. We can make this a reality. And I want to show you real, practical steps, even things I'm doing in this video, so how you can achieve this dream. I even made a little presentation for you guys. I know this plan won't take you 20 to 30 years for financial independence. This won't take you that long to accomplish. Depending on your starting point, I think this is something you can reasonably accomplish in 5 to 10 years. But as usual though, none of this is financial advice, guys. I'm literally not a financial advisor.
Knowledge.
So how do we make this an actual reality? How do we achieve financial independence starting now in 2025? So here's the quick overview, and then we'll go into each step. Step 1 is no debt. Step 2, live cheaply for multiple years. Step 3, always seek career opportunities. Step 4, work a lot. 5, invest aggressively. 6, you're going to buy a small house with some cash. 7 is cover expenses with passive income. 8 is give generously. So each of these steps we're going to break down. So step 1 is very self-explanatory. If you like Dave Ramsey's content, you'll definitely understand this train of thought. Basically, all we want to do is start limiting our debt. We don't want to spend money on useless items, and we want to get rid of all debt. We want to get rid of all credit cards, card payments, anything like this that is taking away from your cash flow. Now, you may have a mortgage, so that's something just to keep, and then you can focus on that later. The real point of no debt is this is going to give you a launching pad to move forward with your debt, and also it's a mindset change. If you can't handle $1,000, if every time you're getting $1,000 you blow it on something stupid, why do you think you can handle $1 million? Your habits are going to stay the same, so you need to start small. So focus on eliminating all debt. You can take the Dave Ramsey approach to get rid of this, and you can look up those videos if you want. Now, step 1 may actually take you the longest portion. Do you have tons of student loans? Do you have credit card debt you racked up? Do you have some medical expenses? Are you way over in your head with a mortgage and it's kind of hard to stay afloat? So depending on your starting point, this can really propel you forward and take you back for a long time, but this needs to be the base layer depending on where you're at, and you're going to have to make a budget and do all that on your own. Step 2 is live cheaply for multiple years at a time. This is really how I propelled myself before 30 to have tons in savings. My bullet points are stay with parents, live in your car like I did for a bit, find cheaper housing, and also keep in mind as your income increases, don't increase your spending either, because we don't want lifestyle inflation. Now, not everyone's going to be able to live with their parents like I can and save a ton of money while you're working, but you may have some other options. Maybe you can find a cheaper apartment, cheaper housing, maybe live in your car if it's somewhere warm like I did for a little bit. And it was a good time actually. Planet Fitness is your lifesaver if you're going to do that. Because when we think about this, if you don't have to spend $2,000 a month on some form of housing, that's $24,000 per year saved. If you do that for 3 years, that's $72,000 saved because you didn't have to spend it on housing. Even if it was half of that, that's a really decent amount to put towards investments. So if you can learn to live cheaply, that's going to be a much better way to save money. Now, if you have a family, you have other obligations, I completely understand. I'm speaking for myself though, as a single, almost 30-year-old. All right, so you have no debt, you're living cheaply, now you're saving a ton for multiple years. During these couple year periods, you're always going to have to be seeking career opportunities, job hoppings, certifications, negotiating salaries, something that will propel you forward in terms of salary. You don't want to be the guy that's been making the same amount of money for the past 3 years. Well, there's tons of opportunities in this world. I specifically have been looking for a new opportunity once a year. That's my typical thing, and I've definitely boosted my salary a decent amount, boosted my hourly wage by seeking new career opportunities every month. And if my job didn't want to match a new employer, then I left and I went with a new employer. And you know this because 99% of financial YouTubers who achieved financial independence were making bank. They were making so much money. These are the engineers that were like, yeah, I was making like $150,000 a year. Well, no reason. It was so easy to reach financial independence with that form of income. In like 5 years, you have so much money to invest. So you need to be like one of them. You need to make more money. Don't get stuck on step 2, always penny pinching, when it'd be actually probably easier just to seek new opportunities and make more money. You always have to seek new opportunities. You're not going to be any different than these people who are making a ton of money if you want to do within 5 to 10 years. I personally quadrupled my hourly rate in the past 3 years by doing new opportunities, going with the certifications I had, and then pushing them to the highest level. Now I'm like a fully licensed therapist, and I could have stopped at the half license, the limited license, but I decided to keep moving forward, take the test, and go all the way through that. And we have to just think about this logically. What makes more sense? Achieving financial independence at $25 an hour or achieving financial independence making $50 an hour? You know the obvious choice. Making $50 an hour is going to be a lot easier, even beyond that. So always seek new opportunities. All right, so you're no debt, living cheaply, looking for new career opportunities. Now it's the time to put in the work. You have to work a lot. This is overtime, 2 jobs, working on side hustles. These are the things to create more income so you can invest more, save more money. This is a time to work a lot and maybe have 50, 60-hour work weeks, but it's going to pay off. This is a long-term plan, but you know what you're shooting for. You're not just working to work, but if you're going to make overtime, time and a half, 2 times your hourly wage, that's going to be a lot of money to stash away to invest. But I want to be really real with you guys. Most of us would be just better working overtime or finding another job with a high hourly rate that could be part-time. For me, I've been working on this channel. I worked on a fitness channel. I have over 240 videos, some deleted on my fitness channel, and have about 80 videos on here, some deleted as well. If we do the math, I'm going to show you why you're probably like me and it'd probably be just better if I worked more overtime, a differently hourly job. I would have probably made a lot more money and would have had a lot more saved up. So between both channels, I have about 320 videos. I would say on a conservative side, it takes me about 4 hours to make video, especially the fitness ones. Those took a long time. If it took me 4 hours to make, this is with editing, recording, making the scripts, like doing everything for the video. I spent a lot of time making these videos, and let's say I spent 1,280 hours making this. If I did time and a half at my job, at the time of my old job, I was making $25 an hour, and let's say I was making time and a half at that time. I'd make $37.5 per hour, and if I times that by how much hours I spent doing YouTube videos, I'd have an extra $48,000. And that's on my lower end job before I even boosted my career and started getting a much better hourly wage. I would have $48,000. Now my average hourly wage is much higher and it's closer to $60. If I was able to do that for 1280, I would have had an extra $76,000 instead of doing YouTube, which I probably made like $4,000 total, right? So most of us are going to be closer to here, maybe 37.5 times all this extra time, extra $48,000 instead of putting money into side hustles. Now, this is just me. I'm probably not the best business-minded person. I'm really not that guy. So if you do have a good business sense, definitely go for it. But if you're more average Joe, more like me, probably just put in some extra overtime at work, get that time and a half, or find a different part-time job with a higher average hourly wage. You don't want to be going back to like $15 an hour. You want to be pushing yourself forward. So you're seeking new career opportunities now. You're working overtime. You're finding better, more high-paying work. This is the time where we're going to invest aggressively. And when I say invest aggressively, in a way we're forgetting traditional S&P 500 funds. With a 10% annual return with these funds, it takes over 7 years to double your money. And that takes a long time. It takes a long time to double your money, and you have to be patient. And if there's a crash, you have to even be more patient. It's 10% on average. So what we're waiting for is when opportunity strikes to invest in high-risk, high-reward place with all this overtime money, all our part-time job in, all the 2 jobs we've been working because we have extra cash to put in high-risk, high-reward plays. Well, what does that actually look like? This is going to look like things tied to indexes, leverage funds like TQQQ, XBXL, QLD, or even Bitcoin when opportunity strikes. And I'm going to show you guys 2 examples of some charts if we just invested aggressively when the timing was right. We have TQQQ on here. From May to the time of this recording, it would have been a 200% gain. If you put that overtime money, let's say $50,000, you would add $150,000 if you held on to TQQQ when the time was right. And this is just a simple indicator, green, and I bought, right? Bitcoin presented you a similar opportunity after the bear market, and it was at a 300% gain at the time of this recording when that indicator turned green, just about. Now, we're not doing this with our life savings. I mean, I did. It was a risky bet. You're probably not like that, right? But that overtime money, the extra money we are doing, we can save that, stash that away. When the opportunity is right, invest in high risk, high reward plays when the timing is right. You're not going to be investing all that money now when the risk to reward ratio is not great. But when the timing is right, invest aggressively. When opportunity strikes, look at these funds to propel your growth forward. If you want the more traditional route, you can just do S&P 500 fund. That's perfectly fine. Just keep in mind with an annual 10% return, it takes over 7 years to double your money. That's a decent amount of time, and we're trying to cut this process faster. Now, there's a higher chance you lose money, but that's why we have to be patient and invest when the time is right, when things like TQQQ and Bitcoin are beaten down bad. That's probably not at the time of this recording. If you want more details, look at these videos, how I doubled my net worth in 1 year, and you can too. This 2 ETF portfolio crushes the S&P 500 if you want a more conservative approach. I think that video will suit more of you guys' style of investing. So no debt, working a lot of overtime, career opportunities. Now we have a lot of money stockpiled away because we're able to get better investing returns. Step 6 is buy a house with cash. This is a small, modest home, no debt, no mortgage, only taxes. And the reason we're doing this is because if we eliminate a housing cost, we have so much more money for other things, so much more money to invest. For my local area, this could look like $150K to $300,000. Understand if you're in Cali or New York, this is not feasible. But maybe this means moving for you if you really want the financial independence that you really crave, right? These are the areas you're probably not going to be in. It's probably going to be a smaller town, a more local area, not the large big city where living is very expensive. If we buy the house with cash, now your yearly expenses are very low. You only have taxes, food, phone and internet, your housing repairs, miscellaneous items, clothing, and then fun. And then that's really it. That's all you got to have enough financial income for. And this is going to drastically reduce your housing costs, your yearly expenses. So now you don't even have to work as much. That's why I've been plucking away, doing the 2 jobs and the overtime. Now, this might be a controversial point. I think step 7, when you actually have your house with cash, is when you start investing in passive income. I think it's a mistake to focus on passive income early in your journey because they are very slow growing. A lot of the times, the passive incomes don't even meet the S&P 500 standard because you're focusing on income when you don't actually need income. You need to build your earning potential. You need to have your expenses lowered. Then you can focus on income. Then it makes more sense instead of taking the even slower road than the S&P 500. Now, my favorite passive incomes are dividends investing, crypto bots, rentals, some business ideas, or you can even continue with the same investing strategy. But I think it's a mistake to really focus on cash flow when you don't need cash flow. You need more cash. You need to build that up quickly, which is why you look at high risk, high reward plays, something tied to an index like TQQQ or Bitcoin. These things can drastically boost your portfolio compared to doing something like a dividend ETF, like a yield max fund or something silly like that. That's just going to rot away, but it's going to give you dividends, but it's going to slowly trickle down over time. Now, all these steps can take 5 to 10 years, but I think it's a realistic roadmap to actually get there, and then you can get the passive income flowing. Now, lastly, we need to remember we're going to die, right? We don't want to be greedy and anxious along our path. We don't need to worry about money all the time. Well, this isn't really our final stop. We're going to die at some point. You may want to build the family dynasty, but this doesn't mean we can't give along the way. We can't give away money, and this doesn't have to consume our all-encompassing being to create anxiety. And I have a really great quote from Money and Salvation from Andrew Jalaris, if I said that right, MD. When we bless God with our money, God blesses us with the things that money can't buy. Joy in our hearts, peace in our relationships, depth in our prayer, and meaning in our lives. Remember, guys, money doesn't give you meaning. It doesn't give you peace in our relationships. It's not the end goal. Sure, this is a goal along your path, but it's not the end goal, so don't be anxious about it. So we need to learn to give away our money as well, so we don't become overly attached to this goal, and then it's all encompasses us. We don't want to be the rich fool in Luke 12:13-21. You can read that on your own time. So we need to give along the way, give away some money, enjoy the process, and always remember our priorities in life. That's faith, family and friends, and then fitness and finances. This is on the lower end of our life goals. And that's it, guys. That's how you achieve financial independence starting now in 5 to 10 years. Sure, this is a different roadmap you may see on YouTube. You may disagree with some points, but this is my own personal journey as well. This is the roadmap I've been following, and I'm pretty dang close right now. I'm definitely in step 5, and then next year, I'll probably be at step 6, buying a house with cash. And then really, I should have enough to do some passive investing that should cover most of my expenses by the time I'm like 31 or 32. So pretty close. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a comment where you are in this process, or if you're taking a different approach to achieve financial independence. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely check out the ones I recommended right up here. Peace.